so I will have to keep my voice down because there are people around, but time to do a quick allotment update, and we are heading quickly towards Michaelmas, which is basically the completion of the summer harvest just after the fall equinox. And you can see that from the meadow flower patch here, everything is going to seed and dying, except for some very late flowering poppies and the blue cornflowers, which just have never stopped for some reason. The pinks, how are the pinks doing? Pinks are going to seed as well. There's a few left. The geranium and the marigolds are not doing so badly. They're little pots of gold, but that's because we've been deheading them, which encourages them to grow more. At full swing for the dahlias, but the lavender has been and gone. You can see here that these two stems are perhaps the last of the lavender here, and they start off like that, closed, and then the little flowers actually open, and that's when the bees come, and then they end up like that, sort of dead, and that is when you cut them. You cut that off the flowers, like I've done here. Then you can dry the lavender and use it to scent pockets. I've not cut these back because the plants themselves are not as healthy as they should be, so I've left them. We're not too worried about the weeds and the grass just at the moment because we are a stone's throw away from dormancy and there won't be much else to do, so we can dig that all up shortly, so we're not too worried about that. Also, our plans for the early autumn will be to relay the paths, and we're looking to relay all of them in fabric rather than stone. The difficulty with stone is that it cracks and it causes tripping hazards and etc, etc. It's not good. He needs to go into dormancy. This is the rhubarb plant, which has gone mad this year, an exceptional harvest, but he shouldn't still be doing that. We've roped up the raspberries, and we know what we're doing wrong with these now. These are summer fruiting, not autumn fruiting, so we can treat them differently next year to get them to flower, we hope. Herb patch is not doing so badly. You can see the outline of me there, I do apologise. If I zoom in, the chives have started to flower all over again, and I think every single herb here has expressed its happiness with flowering. You can see this one down here is still flowering, and that's flowering as well. The sorrel has taken off. I'd just move out of the way there. That sorrel's gone mad. And see, every time I stand in the way, you can't actually see, but the curry leaf plant has gone mad there as well. The only plant that has ever been planted here and died is the stevia. I wasn't able to make that grow. We'll move on, and we've got here is the rather disappointing celery, and the problem with this is apparently it's very hard to grow, and you do have to force them, because we haven't. That is as thick as our celery stems are growing, so they're perfect for babies, and that's about it. Grown from seed, you can still see there are a few spring onions left. They're doing quite well, but they were very late in developing, so we're not too bothered about that. Spare space here as we advance to eat up what's left of the lettuce fields, and there's quite a lot of lettuce, you can see. These are my celeriac, and they're not doing too badly, but they're not ready to come up yet. The celeriac is a little ball. Where are we? That's a good one. This bit here, that's the celeriac. It's not quite a root vegetable. There's roots underneath it, but it creates a sort of knobbly growth that you can eat when they're fully formed, and you'll know because eventually the tops will sort of start to die a little bit like they've done here when it comes down to my now probably gigantic beetroot, which really, this needs harvesting now because the top, you see, is beginning to die. But there's only so many beetroots I can eat at once. The last of their kind over here with the sweet peas. You can now see the wigwams are back on show as these sweet peas start to die off. So all good things must come to an end, but even so there are little pods, little peas still waiting to pop out, so I don't know whether we should collect these peas, these pods, with the seeds for next year or what. But you can see, you know, there has been a recent sort of almost Indian summer type fortnight, and it's spurred some of these things that would have died back into growth, you see. That's what's going on over here at the top. Our corn, the flowers here are finally dead, which means that the corn down here is nearly ready. Now this is how you know this is a cob here, and the corn produces that. This begins white, and when it goes sort of black, it's brown at the moment, when it goes black it's ready. So that one's very nearly ready. Now there's many different types of corn. Usually we had one where the cobs grew sort of at all of these sort of intervals here, but at the moment in this type they're all growing around the base, the whole lot. Still, you have to plant them in a square because they have to cross-fertilise like that. So, and this is not the corn, that is the flower. It does have a very distinct smell. This was a bays for aubergines at one point, and my kohlrabi, which have now finished. And we have winter potatoes. They're a type of new potato which we have just planted. Hopefully they'll be ready in time for Christmas dinner. The parsnips are a no-show this year. I don't know what went wrong with them. We planted them, but they never came up. They do take a long time to germinate, but you know, there's a long time and then there's like 4 or 5 months, and that's just like not happening. Whereas these here are my Swedes. Now, I had a great issue with growing radishes earlier on, and I have not yet got around to planting my second set of radishes, which I'm going to do at the this month. But there you are, you can see somewhere down there. I don't know if that will actually pull up, but yeah, you see, this is supposed to be a Swede. Not sure that that's really worked very well. I don't know how well these Swedes are going to be. They're a bit like the radishes, and it's been a terrible year for them. What's left of the Chernobyl carrots, which are going to come up here soon. All of this area is dead land now. The summer garlic has gone. I'm ready to plant the one that goes through the winter very shortly, but that won't be in this same place. The red and white onions, they have gone as well. We have miniature winter leeks here, which are going to really be a springtime harvest, and our main crop of leeks over there. We have had terrible problems with these leeks as well, because the hot weather at the wrong time of year has sent many of them dangerously close to seed. So once they go to seed, you have to just pick them. Now, the pumpkins. It's that time of year where the pumpkins are beginning to have finished their march across the earth, you can see, and they start to die. And what happens is, as they die, their leaves go all crinkly, and all the goodness goes back down the stems and into the pumpkins. Now, we have had some issues with these pumpkins, I have noticed. Quite honestly, we just leave them to it. there's a big hoo-ha about whether you should, stop the plants after you have a couple of pumpkins to get really big pumpkins, or whether you should let the plants do what they want, in which case you might end up with, 6 or 7 pumpkins, but they could be very small. Our problem is not that. Our problem is something is hungry and it's eating the pumpkins. Do you see that? That's eaten. That's half eaten there. And looking back along here, where there was a pumpkin somewhere, there we are, down there. There we are. Look, where is he? There he is. What's left of him? Something's eaten him entirely. However, it appears that we are lucky enough to have some pumpkins here that are developing nicely. Some of them are a bit close together. That one's been squashed. And of course the thing has not given up the ghost yet. The growing tips are still on the march, and they are still flowering. Because they... do you know, it has not been such a good year for our courgettes, and I'm not quite sure why. The rust on the leaves, that shouldn't be a problem. That usually happens, but some of them have been very... they are machines. They just produce, but some of them have exhausted themselves a little early this year, like this one. Again, we're having something eating them, but you can see, with the healthy one, it flowers, produces crops, and goes on, and on and on and on. It maybe hasn't helped that we have been a bit slow in harvesting these things. I have a feeling if you leave the fruit on too long, it can stop the productivity of the plant, and when your courgette is larger, than a marrow, you have left it on too long. I mean, it's still edible, but I have a feeling that might be what's causing these plants to slow down a bit early this year. Still leafing. What else have we got?